As we approach this evening, this service is about respecting and honoring those who have passed, and recognizing the tragedy that is passing while you're on the streets. So I appreciate each and one of you being here, and for the intentionality of the music that you all produce and the messaging in your music. You use song to really discuss some challenging realities of the society we live in, and your candor is valued, and I appreciate you all for being here. So thank you again. To open this evening's program will be our chair of the City of Eugene Human Rights Commission, Scott Lemons. He will start with the land acknowledgement and then remarks on behalf of the City of Eugene's Human Rights Commission.
Thank you, Blake. Thank you all for being here today. It is super important that we always do this land acknowledgement, because there are giants that we stand on, and they were here far before us. Since time immemorial, the Kalipuya people have been the indigenous stewards to our region, building dynamic communities, maintaining balance with wildlife, and enacting sustainable land practices. Today's land acknowledgement is a way of resisting the erasure of indigenous histories and to honor Native communities by inviting truth and reconciliation. Following treaties between 1851 and 1855, Kalipuya people were dispossessed of their indigenous homeland by the United States government and are forcibly removed to the coastal reservations in Western Oregon. As we consider the impacts of colonization, we also acknowledge the strength and resiliency of displaced indigenous people. The City of Eugene is built within the traditional homelands known as Kalipuya Alihi. Kalipuya descendants are citizens of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde Community of Oregon and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians of Oregon. They continue to make contributions in our communities here and across the lands. We express our respect and gratitude for the inherent political sovereignty of all federally recognized tribal nations and indigenous people who live in the City of Eugene and across the nation. And that round of applause is for the people who came before us. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we are here.
I'm getting requests.
My bad. My apologies. I'm still figuring out public speaking. We are all here. It's December 21st. The first day of winter, but also the longest night of the year. People in our community, in your community, will die without a home this year. An entire generation, me included, has been raised in a world where it is normal to see people sleeping on a street. All too often, those who die on the streets are not connected to family or to support systems who can hold a funeral or properly honor them. While we understand the importance of every life, we recognize the reality of conditions and systemic barriers that individuals and families experiencing homelessness face. National Homelessness Persons Memorial Day is a day to remember those who have died during the year while unhoused, unsheltered, living in shelters, transitional housing, or other uninhabitable places and spaces without a place to call home or the support system to do so. Over the past 100 years, hundreds of cities representing more than 30 states and the District of Columbia have participated in the National Human Rights Person Memorial Day. Let's make this a year of increased awareness and, more importantly, advocacy by organizing in our communities to memorialize the lives that have been lost across the nation, but also to call for meaningful policy changes to ensure that no life is lived or lost in homelessness ever again. especially in the richest nation in the country.
Thank you, Scott. Our next speaker is Richard Sell, the chair of the Lived Experience Advocacy Work Group, Lane County.
I think that's right. Thank you. Welcome. I'm here first to address the passing of one of the most prolific advocates, obnoxious advocates, one of the best ones we're ever going to see, and we'll see nobody like this again. Eric Jackson passed. And Eric Jackson was an influence on so many different levels that what he did influenced what we have now, including respite centers. Eric Jackson was the first respite center. We have safe sleep sites because what he enacted, other things, and just the fact that he was making such a statement that the people who make the rules and own the gold had to pay attention to him. And it was my honor to know him, and we'll never have anybody like that again. And I am very saddened and will miss him very much. I also wanted to quote from the head of the United States Council on Homelessness and Executive Director Jeff Olivet's remarks that he has read in Washington tonight. And just some of the remarks, I'll use some of his closing. It's not enough to remember the people we miss. There's an epic fight ahead for the living. Fighting for the living means saying over and over that housing is health care. Housing is health care. Say it with me. Housing is health care. Housing is also a basic human right. Housing and services work. Prevention is the key to solving homelessness. This is the longest night, the winter solstice, and it may be inescapable, but these deaths are not inevitable. Despite the feelings of exhaustion, trauma, and uncertainty, so many of our friends and neighbors may feel tonight a different future is possible. A better future awaits us. We have only to seize it. So on this homeless person's Memorial Day, we mourn the lost. We renew our commitment to a world where housing is a right, not a privilege. A world where we care for one another, regardless of who we are, regardless of where we live and how we got there. A world where love triumphs. I thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Yes. Our next speaker tonight's program will be David Stranahan with Eugene Warming Centers.
Fan club. Thanks. I didn't know I had a fan club. I was asked to speak tonight for Tim Black, who couldn't make it, and I was incredibly honored. I'm starting my second year at Egan, and as a volunteer in Egan, you see things sometimes you wish you could unsee, and some things you're really glad you did see. And besides the honor of being able to say that I'm part of Egan Warming Center, I want to give some honor to some of the people that make it possible for the Egan Warming Center to operate. First off, I know we've got some volunteers out here. Those who are volunteer, hold your candle up, hold your hand up. Thank you, all of you, because the Warming Center is not going to happen without you. All the folks here who've stayed in a warming center, raise your hand, raise your candle. These are the people you serve. These are the people on the street that we help. The ones that we don't see are the ones that we have to read their names of afterwards. They're the Mama Carries. They're the Dirties. They're the Pops. They're the Hunters. They're the people that we often only know them by their nicknames. Because maybe we didn't take the time to hear their story or hear how they got where they're at. Eugene Warming Center gives these guests a chance to do that in a safe place, with a meal, with a bed. And it takes a strong community to do that. It takes strong community partners to do that. LTD is one of those partners. The volunteers that raise their hand is one of those partners. The local stores in the area are actually partners because they deal with the increased traffic in our areas. And the police are also our partners because oftentimes they're the ones finding people that need to be in our shelter. And sometimes they're the ones who find those who have passed. They don't always die in a hospital. Our homeless don't always get that nicety. But we need to know their names. We need to find out who they were. And it's up to you as volunteers, community members, to hear their story and make sure their story doesn't die. Oh, that's right. I should read. Again, on this solstice night, the longest night of the year, it's a perfect night to think back about those who don't have a place, those who don't have a warm space. Eugene Warming Center gives these people a place to be for a night, a meal, a sandwich in the morning, and a chance to start a new day with a new outlook on life. And I'm honored to speak on their behalf tonight. They are the only low-barrier freezing winter shelter in this town. When we know we have 3,500 people on average looking for shelter at any one time, when we know we have a maximum of about 1,000 beds available, we know there's people falling through the cracks. And on freezing nights, with the volunteer levels we have, Eugene's able to provide that. And that's because of volunteers and a compassionate, caring community. As honored as I am to give thanks to these folks, it's without the support of the myriad of volunteers that we cycle through, the people working behind the scenes, the schedulers planning all the volunteer hours to make it happen. We had a close call for Saturday. The Eugene Warming Center is not going to be active this Saturday. We didn't quite make threshold. But be ready for that call when it comes, because you as volunteers are the reason that we're able to open these centers, that we're able to offer those services to the homeless. And you know what else that happens at Eugene Warming Centers? Sometimes people make a connection. They make a connection with somebody that knows about housing. They make a connection with somebody that knows about the medical help that person may need. They may have just the phone to make that connection, to get in contact with somebody's loved one. And I'm telling you, as a volunteer at the Eugene Warming Center, you're going to hear these stories, and you're going to know after going home a night of volunteering that you probably saved somebody's life. Because that's what our volunteers do. We keep people alive for another day, and another day, and another day. So, in honoring those that have passed before us, I mentioned the Mama Carries, the Hunters. Those are the folks who lost their battle. Some of them just hours or days away from getting into shelter. So, in years past, we've rang a bell for everybody that's lost in this year. And sadly, as those number of homeless continue to die on the street, those numbers start gaining outside of accountability. We don't have an accurate number of how many people have died on the streets in this city because they're having to hide, because we don't have appropriate shelter for them. And it's people here with their voices that can make that happen. This world has the collective wealth to house everybody that wants to be housed. But what we don't have is the collective will to make that happen. To talk to the city administrators, to talk to those people that have their hands on the purse strings, to make a true low-barrier shelter a possibility for everybody that wants to be it. So, happy solstice. Don't be afraid to talk to a homeless. Ask them their name. Ask them their story. And if you feel strong enough in your heart that you can do it, sign up for an Eugene training if you haven't already and volunteer. St. Vincent de Paul and Eugene Warming Center thanks you for your volunteers. And someday I hope we don't have to have these speeches.
Thank you, David, and thanks for everything that you do with the Egan Warming Centers. What a valuable resource and what a wonderful group of individuals that really do save lives every winter. So I thank you for being here. Our next guest speaker for the program will be Mayor Lucy Venus. She'll be reading the names of individuals who have passed. Those names were gathered from our community. Folks provided those to us, and we will be taking this time to respect each and every one of them. For this part of the program, I ask that folks quiet any conversations or any side chatter so that we can make sure that this is a space to memorialize and honor each of those names. So, Mayor Venus, the floor is yours.
Thank you all. I want to thank Blake and thank Scott and thank Richard Self, I'm not sure where he went, and David for speaking, for all of you for coming out on a chilly night. We're sitting here on little metal chairs and we're shivering and we're thinking, how soon do we get warm, right? And yet we're here out of mourning and out of respect and out of recognition of the number of people in our community who are not going to get warm tonight, and they're going to shiver all night long, and they're going to shiver in the darkest hours of the early morning, and it's the longest night of the year. So it's an important moment to express gratitude for all of the people who volunteer, who support all of the work that happens in our community to help alleviate the suffering. It is a moment for me, and I think for many of us, of despair that every year we come and the numbers this year are higher than last year. More people are suffering, more people have died. For all the work we do, we are still struggling to meet the needs that are out on our streets. And of course, we are here to mourn the people who did not survive that struggle on the streets, and our own failure as a society, that we did not provide the services, we did not provide the shelter, we were not able to help them. When I read this list of names, there are many that I don't know, but there is one that I know quite well, as many have spoken before, and that is Eric Jackson. And I will say that Eric Jackson was relatively new to town when I was a new mayor, and he was someone who came to meet me right away. And I had many conversations with him in those early years, and he was an incredibly, yes, he could be an obnoxious advocate, no doubt about it, but he was persistent, he was eloquent about the need, he was very clear, he was a loud and proud voice on behalf of people whose voices were not otherwise heard. And he did pressure this city into taking action, and much more action, and the action is visible. And as Richard mentioned, the Dusk to Dawn in particular was a particular response to Eric's work immediately, and so he had a huge positive impact on this community and on people's lives. And it is tragic that that we have lost him, because he had more work to do, and he was eager and prepared to do that work. We are here, I am here representing the city as a moment to acknowledge the efforts that we make, and also our inability to fully meet the need, and recognize and commit that we have a role as a city to continue to try to provide the shelter, the housing, connect people to services, to provide the assistance they need. And the scale and the scope of it is very challenging for the city, but it is a deep commitment. We don't always get it right. We learn from experience, and we seek to do better. And I'll just say, in the book of life, in the book of all of our lives, we hope as a city that this chapter of homelessness in our society is just a chapter in that book of life, and that the subsequent chapters are better chapters. And we are here tonight to acknowledge all of the failings that led all of these people to suffer so, to die cold, die of illness, die of despair and sadness, to die alone, that we do not want that to be the final chapter for other people's lives. We want the final chapter for their lives to be that they were restored. They were restored to family, they were restored to health, they were restored to safety and to shelter. And that is our commitment. That needs to be our commitment as a community. So I will take a moment, we will take some time now to read the names that we have of the people who have passed. We will do this slowly. I'll read a name, we'll ring the bell, and we'll have a moment of silence so that you can say your whatever your silent thought or prayer is for that person, so that that life is honored and remembered. Angel. Brett. Clifford. David. Delana. Dolores Peacock. Dwayne Woods. Eric Jackson. Eugene Phillips. Ginger Hess. James Brandon. Jeanette. Jeff. Jesse Beasley. Joe Eisel. John Garrett. Christy Fuller. Lane. Mark. Ranger. Rankin. Richard Hotchkiss. Scott. Tennessee. Tom Campbell. Rest in peace.
Program. The Eugene Raging Grannies are going to be here to provide a performance. They'll talk a little bit about what songs they're going to sing and how those songs came to be. But we're really lucky to have y'all here. You are just a wonderful group, a true gaggle of grannies here, and are honored to have you open the event. So, the mic is yours.
We are the Eugene Raging Grannies. We use humor and music to rage for justice and kindness in a world that too often ignores the need for both. Although this is a solemn occasion to honor those who are gone, they have left us with the responsibility to make a change for the better in the lives of the houseless. We hope to inspire you to make that change so that next year we can use this event to celebrate no lives lost and everyone housed.
Come a little closer together. Come closer together.
Okay, we're good.
I'm going to sort of stand sideways here. Okay, the first one.
Oh, we're a gaggle of grannies, urging you off of your fence. change. Those problems might seem unending, but here's the message we're sending. We don't want to wait, it isn't too late. Time for change. So join this gaggle of grannies. Get up off of your fannies. We're telling you how we need housing now. Time for change.
Thank you. Thank you.
Silent night, sleepless night, seeking dark, shining light, shelters crowded or won't take my pet. I have problems, there's things I forget. Where's a place to find peace? Houseless and no chance of peace. Silent night, sleepless night. I have a tent, but there's no sight. Freezing weather or rain pouring down. People staring while I walk the town. No solution in sight. We know it just isn't right. Silent night, sleepless night. Tired and cold, chilled with fright. Poor and houseless was never my plan. Vicious cycles, I do what I can. Here's a message I send. There's hope if you'll be my friend. What I need is a place somewhere safe from the cold night air, with no policeman there. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? All we need is a door to lock, a place to sleep that is not a crock. It's not so hard to rock. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? It's getting cold and my blanket's thin. Empty buildings you can't get in. Try parks, they'll run you in. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Conestogas are not a lot, but at least they're a safe, dry spot. I'll keep the clothes I've got. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? What I need is a place somewhere safe from the cold night air, where we are welcome there. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely? Lovely, 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 lovely.
Thank you. This is one of my favorites. First Streets.
This is so slow. One of our residents is missing, David Shealy. If you know him, if you've seen him, please, you could. The best thing to do is probably to call the service station. Right now, we have a missing person. Excuse me. We're looking for him. So just keep him in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. I didn't know that she's. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Pamela. I am a member of the Raging Grannies. I have given up on Eugene and relocated my residence, actually. I just want to say we can sing these songs, and we do, because we care and we love, without the stress of these realities. And what kind of stress killed you, Eric Jackson? And what kind of stress and assaults killed my brother Doyle? These are real.
Thank you, Eugene Raging Grannies, and thank you for the closing remarks. Thank you. And thank you all. Tonight we're going to close our program with a one more song with the Eugene Raging Grannies. So Raging Grannies, you're welcome to take the stage.
Remember me from Cascade Action. We've been working together a long time. And the Raging Grannies have honored me with an introduction to sing with them. I am so ecstatic.
Actually, you'll recognize this song, and we welcome any of you who know the words to sing along.
There's a mic here. If anyone wants to come on up, feel free.
Come on in, my dear. Come on in.
Amy,
Okay.
you gonna lead us?
I guess I am.
Amen.